I had always loved horror movies and haunted houses. I enjoyed the thrill of being scared and the adrenaline rush of facing my fears. That's why I was excited when I heard about the new haunted house attraction in town. It was supposed to be the scariest and most realistic one ever, based on a true story of a gruesome murder. The story went like this. In the late 90s, a family of 6 moved into a large house in the suburbs. They seemed like a happy and normal family, until one night they were all brutally killed by an unknown assailant. The police found the bodies of the parents and 4 children, each with multiple stab wounds and signs of torture. The killer had left a bloody message on the wall, saying, "I'll be back." The police never found the killer, and the case remained unsolved. The house was abandoned ever since, and rumors said that the ghosts of the victims still haunted the place, and that anyone who entered would never come out alive. The haunted house attraction was a replica of the real house, with the same layout, furniture, and props. The attraction claimed to use advanced technology and special effects to create a realistic and immersive experience for the visitors. The attraction also had a twist. The visitors had to go through the house alone, with only a flashlight to guide them. The attraction was open only at night, and the tickets were limited and expensive. But I managed to get one, thanks to my friend who worked at the ticket booth. I arrived at the attraction on a cold and dark night. The house was located in a secluded area, surrounded by trees and fences. There was a long queue of people waiting to enter, some of them looking nervous and others looking excited. I saw a sign outside the house that said, "Enter at your own risk." I also saw the ticket seller, who was my friend's colleague. He had a sinister grin on his face, and he seemed to enjoy scaring the customers. He gave me a weird look when he saw me and said, "You're in for a treat, my friend. You'll never forget this night." He then handed me a ticket and a flashlight and told me to follow the arrows on the floor and to stay on the path. He also warned me not to touch anything, as some of the props were very realistic and could cause injury. He then wished me good luck and closed the door behind me. I turned on the flashlight and looked around. The interior of the house was dark and dusty, and I could hear eerie sounds and screams coming from different rooms. I felt a chill run down my spine, but I also felt a surge of curiosity and excitement. I followed the arrows and walked through the living room, where I saw a bloody sofa and a TV showing static. I then entered the kitchen, where I saw a severed head on the counter and a knife stuck in the wall. I felt a wave of fear and disgust, but I told myself it was all fake and continued. I reached the stairs and climbed up to the second floor. The arrows led me to a bedroom, where I saw a bed covered with blood and a doll hanging from the ceiling. I heard a child's voice whispering, "Help me," and I felt a cold hand touch my shoulder. I screamed and ran out of the room, dropping my flashlight. I stumbled in the dark and tried to find the exit, but I only saw more arrows pointing to different directions. I realized I was lost and trapped in a maze of horror. I panicked and ran blindly, hoping to find a way out. I bumped into walls and doors and saw more gruesome scenes of murder and torture. I heard footsteps and laughter behind me, and I knew I was being chased by something or someone. I ran faster and faster until I reached a dead end. I turned around and saw a figure wearing a mask and a hood, holding a bloody axe. He raised the axe and swung it at me, and I felt a sharp pain in my chest. I fell to the floor and saw blood gushing out of my wound. I looked at his mask and saw a familiar face. It was the ticket seller. He smiled and said, "Welcome to the real haunted house. You are the next victim." He laughed maniacally and brought the axe down again. I closed my eyes and waited for the end, but the end never came. Instead, I heard a loud siren and a voice saying, "Cut! Cut! Cut! That's a wrap, people! Great job, everyone!" I opened my eyes and saw a bright light and a camera pointing at me. I also saw the ticket seller, who was actually an actor, standing over me with a fake axe. He took off his mask and said, "Sorry, man. I hope you're not too mad. It was all part of the show." He then helped me up and gave me a hug. I was confused and angry, and I pushed him away. I looked around and saw that the house was actually a movie set, and that the other visitors were also actors and extras. I realized that I had been pranked and filmed for a hidden camera show. I felt humiliated and betrayed, and I wanted to punch someone in the face. I then saw my friend, who worked at the ticket booth, coming towards me with a smile. He said, "Hey buddy, how did you like the haunted house? Did you have fun?" He then handed me a waiver and a check and said, "You just signed up for the most extreme and realistic haunted house ever. You also agreed to be filmed and broadcasted on national TV. Congratulations, you're a star." He then laughed and said, "Don't worry, it's all for a good cause. The money you paid for the ticket and the money you received for the show will go to a charity that helps the families of the real victims of the real haunted house. You just did a good deed, my friend. You should be proud of yourself." I looked at him with disbelief and rage. I couldn't believe he had done this to me. He had tricked me into thinking I was going to die, and he had made a fool of me in front of millions of people. He had used me as a pawn for his sick and twisted entertainment. He had betrayed our friendship and violated my trust. He was no longer my friend. He was my enemy. I grabbed the check and tore it into pieces. I threw the pieces at his face and said, "You can keep your money and your charity. You can also keep your show and your fame. I don't want any of it. I just want you to leave me alone. You're a jerk and a liar, and I hate you." I then turned around and walked away, leaving him speechless and stunned. I didn't care about the cameras or the audience. I didn't care about the haunted house or the charity. I only cared about myself and my dignity. I had survived the scariest and most realistic haunted house ever, but I had lost a friend and a part of my soul. I wondered if it was worth it. I wondered if I would ever be the same again. I had always hated haunted house attractions. I thought they were cheesy, boring, and predictable. I preferred real horror, like the ones in books and movies. That's why I was reluctant to go to the new attraction in town, called the House of Horrors. It was supposed to be the most terrifying and realistic one ever, with live actors, special effects, and interactive elements. My friends had convinced me to go with them, saying it would be fun and exciting. They also said it would be a good way to celebrate Halloween, which was just a few days away. We arrived at the attraction on a dark and stormy night. The House of Horrors was located in an old mansion on top of a hill. It looked creepy and ominous, with its broken windows, cracked walls, and overgrown garden. There was a long line of people waiting to enter, some of them wearing costumes and masks. We joined the line and waited for our turn. As we waited, we saw a sign that said, "The House of Horrors is not for the faint of heart. Enter at your own risk. You may encounter scenes of violence, gore, and death. You may also be touched, grabbed, or separated from your group. If you want to quit, say the safe word, candy, and you will be escorted out. Have fun and good luck." I felt a pang of anxiety and regret, but I decided to go along with it. I told myself it was just a game and that nothing bad would happen. We finally reached the entrance, where a woman dressed as a witch greeted us. She checked our tickets and gave us each a wristband. She told us to follow the instructions on the wristband and to enjoy the show. She then opened the door and let us in. We entered the house and found ourselves in a dimly lit hallway. The walls were covered with cobwebs and paintings of creepy faces. The floor was creaky and dirty. The air was musty and cold. We heard screams and moans coming from different rooms. We looked at our wristbands and saw that they had numbers on them. Mine said 5. We also saw that there were doors along the hallway, each with a number on them. We realized that we had to go through the doors according to our numbers. We decided to stick together and go through the doors one by one. We went to the first door, which had a 1 inch on it. My friend, who had the number 1 inch on his wristband, opened the door and went in. We followed him and saw that the room was a nursery. There were toys, books, and a crib in the room, There was also a rocking chair where a woman dressed as a ghost was sitting. She was holding a baby doll and singing a lullaby. She looked at us and smiled. She said, "Welcome to the House of Horrors. I'm so glad you're here. Do you want to play with my baby?" She then threw the doll at us and started to laugh. The doll landed on the floor and started to cry. We heard a loud bang and the door slammed shut behind us. We were locked in. We tried to open the door, but it was stuck. We looked for another way out, but there was none. We were trapped. We heard the woman say, "You can't leave. You have to stay with me and my baby. We're a happy family. Don't you want to be a part of it?" She then got up from the rocking chair and walked towards us. She had a knife in her hand. She said, "Don't worry, it won't hurt. I just want to make you look like my baby. You'll be so cute and cuddly. You'll love it." She then lunged at us and tried to stab us. We dodged her and ran to the other side of the room. We screamed and shouted for help. We said the safe word candy, hoping someone would hear us and let us out. But no one came. We realized that this was not part of the show. This was real. We were in danger. We fought back and tried to disarm the woman. We kicked, punched, and bit her. We managed to get the knife from her and stabbed her in the chest. She fell to the floor and stopped moving. We thought she was dead. We looked for the key to the door, but we couldn't find it. We were still trapped. We heard the doll say, "Mommy, Mommy, wake up. I want to play. I want to play with them. They're my new friends." We looked at the doll and saw that it had glowing red eyes and sharp teeth. It started to crawl towards us. We screamed and threw the knife at it, but we missed. The doll jumped on us and bit us. We felt a sharp pain and a burning sensation. We felt our blood draining and our life fading. We closed our eyes and waited for the end.